Well, how are we all doing? You've all got what seems to be some kind of lurgy. So could you do me a favor straight away? And when you join this live, could you just put in the conversation thread how you are vocally today, i.e. what's not working, just so I know a little bit in advance as to what to avoid, because of course if many of you are still suffering with this cold, cough, lurgy, then I want to make sure that we're not doing anything that's going to make that worse. So that's the first request. The first request I'm going to make is that as you join the session this morning and you see other people putting down statuses about or sentences about how they are vocally this morning, that's because I've asked the question, how is your voice this morning? It's great at the beginning of the year to kind of get clear on things that you want to achieve with your singing, okay? If you've got a sore throat, and I just want to kind of address these things generally, if you've got a sore throat, and like the back of your throat as you swallow feels sore, but your speaking voice and singing voice is okay, there's no reason really why you should not continue to sing, as long as you are physically feeling energized. If you're feeling a bit lethargic, and therefore you might misplace some of your energy in doing the singing thing, then you've got to take a bit of care, all right? But if you're feeling okay, mentally alert, your voice is sounding okay, but you just got a bit of a sore throat, then of course what you must do is give yourself some TLC. Little kind of quest for you today. Have you got some means of writing down on a piece of paper words that come to you as we do the warm-up? What I'd like you each to do is to amass on a piece of paper, it doesn't have to be wonderful, your own particular word cloud to do with around your vocal technique. All right, because these are truly going to be the issues that seem to be reoccurring for you. All right, so that's what I'd like you to do. And then I want you to go after the workshop, after this warm up, I want you to just in another comment put all the words that you've managed to gather together in today's session, so that gives a really good overview of the kind of issues that you keep on finding. All right, okay, thumbs up if you are okay to go with that. In the meantime, are you nice and settled in a good spot to do what we're about to do? Breathing wise, I still have, there's some thumbs, that's great, thank you. I still have this irritating little tickle, which comes, I think it's when the change of air, I don't cough all the time, it's just actually when I'm doing breathing exercises, okay? So I have with me here my little drink of water ready because whilst hydration helps, it doesn't cure all. I don't want to keep on drinking and then washing all that wonderful mucus away. Okay, so if you have a little glass of water by you, if you can. All right, so get yourself centered. All right, whatever that might mean for you. For me, sitting at the piano here, I have my feet on the floor and my hips nicely turned under. Nice balanced alignment, and I'm just checking, you know, my trouble spot, like you should be wherever yours is. Mine is my lower back. I tend to hold a lot of tension in my lower back. Yours might be your shoulders, okay? So do something that you feel, you don't have to be told what to do. Do something that you feel might just help stretch some of those muscles. I don't know, just something, even if it's a big stretch above your head, which then sometimes opens up this part of your torso where your ribs expand sideways to accommodate the stretch. But just make sure your shoulders aren't up like that, but they're actually relaxed, okay? So stretch right through to the top of your fingertips. And then as you bring your arms down, or whatever you're doing, whatever you stop doing, just take stock of how that makes you feel physically, okay? Now then start going into your thought mode about your breathing. So you're allowing the air to come and go quite naturally and freely, okay? And while you're doing that, I'll tell you a little funny story. Okay, so whilst I'm talking, I want you to kind of start accelerating or start enlarging the amount of air that you take in. So you're getting more into the singing mode. And whilst you do that, I'll tell you a funny story. Last night, I went to a first session of yin yoga. is specifically to wind down at the end of the week. And anyway, nice group of people, and we're doing exercises. Of course, it's all about the breathing initially, and then all the way through the exercises, you're encouraged to breathe in for 4 and out for 8. I never got through 2 breaths before moving on to the next thing. And actually, I realized that was a bit of a kind of contradiction, because I was employing my kind of singing way of doing the breathing and not the yogic way. So how are you doing? Are you getting to the point now where you feel that all of this is now starting to, you're more aware of it? When you're ready, just go into the breathing exercise. I'm going to do one now, so you can follow my guidance if you want. The idea being, remember that you're going to take 2 breaths in, and it's the breath in the middle, the intake of air, the allowing of air in the middle, that is going to best replicate how we hope the body will respond in the middle of a song. Okay, so here we go. Hold air out, everybody, if you want to come along with me. Breathing in now, letting the air in. Okay, think about how you're feeling. Think of a word that best describes it. Jot it down on your piece of paper. For me, that's quite dicey, because I can feel that little tickle just arriving now. And so I try not to go push myself too far with the breath, because that's going to instigate an automatic response. So as long as I feel my breathing apparatus is working well, then I'm happy with that. And did you notice, was your breath in the central breath, the intake, the allowing of air, was that a much better quality breath than the first one? If yes, then you're on the right path. Okay, it's always good to explore this breathing exercise. All right, so I know that a favorite exercise is to do some sirening. So that's where we're going next. Okay, now, this is where your feedback is quite important. If this is too low, i.e. not getting a good result, just let me know in the comments. Okay, so it's the usual thing where we're going to be using the ng sound to use as a kind of vehicle for sliding up and down to the 5th and back. Okay, these are just little tiny intrinsic muscle movements that we're just warming up. Here we go. Ready? Hold air out. Jaw relax as you breathe in. Couple more. Last one. Now that's all in the middle part of the voice. Okay, well, I would say the more relaxed, more going towards the speechy area. Of course, you're all individuals, and that may be more comfortable for some than others. Okay, I'm not so happy at the very extreme. I'm quite happy in the middle. All right, now before moving on, we want to do the same exercise, but this time stretching up an octave. All right, and I've seen Jeff's question about breathing. I'll come back to that in just a moment. All right, but I want you to concentrate on what this exercise is doing for you, and just write down when you finish it, what is your main thing that's going on, whether that's a positive, a negative, what you concentrate on, just a word that pops into your mind. Okay, so this time we're going to go up to the whole octave, all right? As you allow the air in, okay, just allow the natural expansion of your rib cage. Here we go, ready? And last one. Now, the reason why we stopped is because the top note there was an F, and for sopranos, tenors, we start to go into a slightly different area, and Jeff, you might have felt that you were just on the edge of that slightly thin sound. Okay, got some nice comments coming in. Lynn, no wobbles. Fantastic. Hold on to that thought, okay? It's a positive response. Sue, you started a little bit under-energized, but now getting better. Yes, I mean, I picked up those vibes last evening when I listened to you talking, you know, majorly under-energized in how you feel. Not a criticism, that's just an observation. And so therefore, it will have an immediate impact on your feeling about singing. Okay, Sue, and you saying the pitch, okay, Jeff, yes, I should imagine. So when you're feeling a bit uncertain about those higher pitches, then don't keep pushing. Allow them to arrive, okay, rather than feel you've got to push. And Lynn says it feels good. Yeah, on the edge, yeah, because that's on the edge for us as sopranos as well. It's just where you have to slightly sort of take your voice to a different place. You can't place it in a different place, but the vibrations which naturally occur sort of emanate or literally get amplified in a different place, and we perceive the sound as something different, which sometimes unnerves us, and then we start to push more air. Okay, let's just backtrack very quite quickly to this breathing issue that Jeff asked just now. And I'm thinking, because the comment has gone and I have to scroll up, which I can't, but it was largely around advice you've been given, and we've all experienced it, about how best to do this breathing thing. Well, you do it 24/7. And this is why I ask you always at the beginning to start thinking about what happens to you when you take a nice deep breath in, all right? Can you just do that? Just allow the air in as if someone surprised you with something. Okay, now where do you feel that movement? Where do you feel that movement? Write it down, put it in the comments. Where do you feel that movement? If someone told you something and you went, and you felt this inspiration, this filling up of your body of the air, where do you feel that movement? It's interesting because this is often something that everybody gets very concerned about, and lots of teachers have very different jargon or ways of explaining what happens. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for those comments to come in, but I'll keep talking, shall I? Because it's this time lag is just very slightly behind. So Jeff says he feels it more in his tummy and his back. Yeah, okay. So Jeff, what's happening there is your natural expansion, your rib cage, your intercostal muscles, if that's the shape of your ribs, is just literally broadening. But this feeling you have in your tummy, right down here, I'm guessing, is just simply that the diaphragm, which is in this kind of shape, which sits underneath your ribs. So where your ribs come down, the diaphragm is a big kind of flat saucer-shaped muscle that when you breathe in, I'm trying to get my hands balanced. It's all odd because the camera is in reverse. It flattens and broadens, okay? So what happens is it literally kind of pushes down on all the organs and bits and bobs you have in your abdomen, and we sometimes perceive that as pushing everything going out that way. And that's what's to be avoided, because, and you see lots of amateur singers or people who've not been really taught the correct way, they think that that pushing out of the muscles, the actual pushing out, is the way to suck air in, and it isn't. That absolutely stops air. So that natural kind of feeling in your belly is something that is your diaphragm is literally misplacing or pushing down against your organs. All right, so we've got a few more comments coming in. Sue says she always feels like a goldfish, gills, side and back. Sometimes I visualize goldfish. Well, that's interesting. Ever floats your boat, but yes, I get it. For me, I always think elbows. Where my elbows sit, I think that's about the space I imagine is going to start expanding. Okay, and actually, I think about my back like a pair of curtains. They just slightly pull apart. Don't ask me why. Right now, we've all appreciated what everyone is thinking about with their breathing. Okay, let's just soak that in. And what I'm going to say to you is, let's just do that little, that little test. Somebody tells you something really unexpected is good news, and your response would be, okay, now just hold that thought and just check what's going on. Now that's where I feel my movement, right on my elbows. I felt this nice and relaxed. Really? Yeah. And I felt elation, and my back, I felt like I was ready to do something. Okay. All right. Yes. Oh, Sue, I'm so glad you put that comment down. That is so good. And I was going to end on this little thing about this. This is a very worthwhile conversation, by the way, Jeff. So thanks for bringing it up. Only in the yoga class last night, of course, two things. I couldn't help but be drawn to the music they have playing, which is okay. But I do find it like it just sucks me away from what I'm trying to do. But also there was a lot of talk about breathing into the belly. And of course, you can't breathe into your belly because your belly doesn't have lungs in it. Okay, your lungs are where they are. They will never change. That's where they are. And you breathe 24/7. This is what you do. It's what we do as singers is an extension of the natural thing. You can't possibly breathe into your belly. What you can do is make sure that your framework is enabling everything in its torso to work at its optimum. So therefore you are in a nice alert position. You cannot possibly breathe well in singing if you're always in a position of deflated stance, where all your muscles are kind of moving down, and it's all a big effort every time to get them out the way and breathe. Okay, so your lungs are where they are, and as singers it's an appreciation of how you help them to work at their optimum, and then everything else that you just kind of concentrate on the feeling of singing on that energy. You do feel like you're kind of bearing down a little bit on these organs that are suitably squished. What we don't want is any rigidity in these very strong muscles at the front. They have to be a little bit giving, Okay, so yeah, I can imagine, Jeff, that statement that you said about being told to breathe into your back kind of, for me, draws up, and others you can add to it as well. So I can see in a couple more comments. Okay, so Sophie, you are saying that it's about here. I would aim for something slightly lower if possible. Where your floating ribs are at the side of your rib cage. Jeff is saying that he agrees with you, Sue. When he watches some professional singers, their bottom tummy tends to blow out. Does that make sense? Yes, but that's exactly what I have told you about what happens when your diaphragm just flattens out, which it will do. There is a natural displacement sometimes, every time actually, of all your bits and pieces that are underneath your diaphragm, and your diaphragm automatically, you don't have to organize it. It will gradually go back to where it was before. And of course, everything subsides. Where it's wrong, I think, is where you see a lot of up and down of this lower belly. Can be very distracting because it doesn't come from a position of of being under-energized either, where the muscles are suddenly being used and then flop, suddenly being used and then flop. That's not it. That's drop off, literally. I have been in classes where the visiting tutor will say, imagine you have a piece of string from your navel and it goes out the back, and as you breathe in, everything expands, but also your tummy button goes back rather than pushes out. And the only way I can get my head around that is to completely work on relaxing these rectus abdominis muscles in the front. It's complex. The breathing thing is like, it goes on for years where you trial and error, trial and error, trial and error, but it's not a separate thing to everything else we're doing. See what I mean? So you're taking in air, you're allowing air in, I should say, to do our sirening, and then once you've got the air in, it's about the engagement, the onset of sound, maintaining it without falling off. Good, good, good. Okay, so are we ready to move on now? This breathing thing, you have to allow it, but your body becomes in a state of readiness. Okay, and this is the energy that we are talking about, that sometimes when we feel, you know, a bit wobbly, a bit under-energized, a bit maybe emotionally down, is hard to get going. And this is why a vocal warm-up or sessions like this where we get to interact become really worthwhile, because your energy bounces off each other and it's fantastic. Let's move on. So we're doing our sirening we were doing, and we got up to the F, and we discovered that that's where the thinning starts to go. So if you've got any vocal stresses, the idea is to not push yourself beyond that point. Okay, all right, so now let's come back and do the dreaded lip trills, shall we? Okay, now lip trills, just, they are, you know what I think about lip trills, they are worth their weight in gold. If you're feeling under-energized, a bit down in the mouth, you know, just do yourself a few lip trills for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and all the things, the breathing, the posture, everything, well, if it's all kind of aligned and all in the right place, the lip trills will go boom. And they make you feel so good, okay? All right, so we're going to start not quite so low. All right, so we're not going to be digging. That's right, on my kind of break. We're going to go up to B major. All right, and we're going to do just fifths, first of all, keep it simple so you can concentrate on the words, your word cloud, remember, things that keep coming every time we do stuff, so that you have got your little unique word cloud jotted down on a piece of paper by you, and then you're going to share that with everybody after the warm-up, okay? And then that will help me with the Technique Tuesday. That's what I'm thinking. Right, so are you ready? We're going to do the fifths first of all. Okay, one word of warning, it's a journey. Not to the top, but to the other side as well. So this is where the drop-off often happens. The energy that you need to really see it through. So if you see me doing this towards the camera, I'm trying to say to you, remember, the energy has to go on. Rely on that thought, and your breath supply will be maintained as long as you are in the moment and on the breath. Jargon. Terrible. Okay, are you ready? Hold air out, all kind of feeling energized and alert. Here we go. Hold air out and okay. Oh, have you got vibrations going on around here? Good. It's a good indication that, you know, what's vibrating is vibrating. We went up to a D. Okay, very safe area of the voice. I'd be surprised if anybody was really experiencing problems up to that point. Okay, and doing the fifths like this, it can really allow you to play with just not stressing out about getting the breath in, because you just do a lip trill and then you just allow the air to kind of be replaced. So your rib cage is just doing its little thing, as long as you are not collapsing in between, and then you've got to do the whole heave ho to get the body up. All right, this is where your energy. I often do lip trills when I'm ironing, or better weather when I'm in the garden, you know. I just find that doing physical activity, lip trills are a cinch, okay? So now we're going to do the octave one. And I saw lots of thumbs up then, which means that you're all having a good time with these. You should feel, I got quite a good amount of vibration and kind of like that adrenaline feeling starting in me. So I feel like, yeah, I'm getting to the point where I'm ready to look at that song now, okay? I'm ready to look at the Mozart right now. Okay, so we're starting again on B. Maybe we'll just creep down slightly because we're now going to do octaves, okay? Now, you might see me turn sideways and do this kind of thing, halfway up, and try to remember which key I'm in. Okay, if you see me doing that, just to make it clear in case, you know, for any reason we've forgotten, that represents your kind of voice box, your larynx, okay? And there is a top to it too. But there has to be, if you're truly energized in the right way, Sophie, there's no tension, everything is really going well, your body is really in the moment, you're feeling exhilarated, you're really enjoying it, and there will be a natural ability to just allow some of that rocking movement. You don't have to organize it, but if you see me doing that, it's because I'm trying to encourage you to think of allowing that space idea, okay? So we're starting B flat major now. All right, we're going to do a whole octave, and that is going to be very much in the forefront of my mind as I do it, because I know I have a tendency to not allow myself to fully do the right thing. Okay, are you ready? Old air out, feeling energized? Here we go. Oops, I missed out. Start again, folks, sorry. Wasn't concentrating. Are you ready? Old air out. Okay, here we go. Allowing the air in, and one more. Okay, just write down quickly in the comments how you felt about the ultimate pitch of that. How does that feel physically when we got up to the top note and back down again? Just write a note, put that word down on your piece of paper, anything that comes to your mind, you think, yeah, that's going to be an issue, write it down. Give me some feedback. Okay, lip trills are brilliant. Just remember, they're not about driving air. They're not about, they have to be, so definitely voiced rather than pushed air. And they definitely have to do with that, allowing the air in, getting the energy. So if you're unsure, you can always do little things like, things that involve doing stuff, like you could do exercises, doing, you know, singing and doing physical things. If you want to do like pitched exercises and moving and standing up and sitting down, then it's good to do it in reverse. So for example, if we're doing that, you start by standing up, and then as you go to the higher pitch, you sit down. All right, it's the opposites, and try to get your brain completely addled, so it's not controlling you too much. We could just try a few of those if you want to stand up. Okay, so we're standing like this and sitting down for the higher note. And if you're standing up already, what you do is you bend your knees for the higher note. All right, that's all you do. All right, here we go. Ready? And okay. Now, I can see some comments coming in, so do feel free to add now. We're actually in G major when we finished, which means that the top note we were brimming on when we were standing and sitting, it was a G. So now, if Jeff, that was not such a strain, if it was not so thin and it seemed to be easier, that will only happen because you've got all of your boxes ticked in your kind of alignment idea that we started out with at the beginning of this morning's warm-up. I don't want to do a great deal more today because I'm very aware that some of you have these lurgies lurking, and I would encourage you to do more warm-ups where this is the only thing that you do. This is as far as you go, so that you're building up that kind of knowledge that you're okay with the voice without jumping into the songs too much. You can study your songs, but you do that silently. So even if you're looking at the Mozart, you'll be taking in just as much information if you are in the moment, really enjoying what you're doing, but not worrying about getting the voice there. It's more important right now in this slightly difficult month of January, because I know that many people find January a real ugh. Yeah, and I appreciate that. February is more of a month like that for me for other reasons, which I know that lots of you know already about. But so January and February, then we get to March. So, you know, we've got lots of good things to look forward to, but it's really, really important right now that you start to look after yourself. So when we do Wellbeing Wednesdays, I'm not only, and Sue saw that comment, I'm not only going for what we eat, drinks, how we sleep and all that sort of thing. I'm thinking about how we feel. And this kind of little warm up and investigation into your voice, which will be reaffirming all the things that you can do, is going to be great, kind of, you know, a little bit of a tonic when you revisit it. Okay, so this is what I want you to do for the next week. So not panic is fine. Enjoy. Let your singing bring you joy. 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 Okay? Now, if you've got your word cloud down there, all right, I want you to, when we finish the warm-up, which is practically now, I want you to just put them all together. You don't have to write a sentence. It can just be a line of words that came to you as you were doing it. And that will be your personal word cloud stamp. Okay, and I will look at those and start to think about Technique Tuesday so that there is a thread going on in our learning, our journey together. Does that make sense? I think so. All right, so any more comments? Do continue the conversation after I've clicked, we've gone off live. Thank you very much for your time this morning. I think it's been a really, really worthwhile conversation to be had. You know, so much juice in it. It's fantastic. I'll be honest and say this morning I felt a bit under-energized too. And of course I have to collect my thoughts, but now I'm this side of the warm-up and I'm feeling great. I'm feeling, I've got that little kind of excited feeling right in the pit of me. And that's what drives us forward. Anybody else got any more comments they want to add before I hit the goodbye button? Okay, I'm going to sign off now. It's been great. Thanks everybody, and more again next time. Bye for now. Happy New Year.